So welcome everyone. Good morning. It's great to have you here in Houston with us. This session is all about Microsoft Dynamics for Retail and how we are delivering the future of retail today. And there's quite a bit that we're going to cover in this session. I'm Michael Griffiths, and I'm responsible for global product management, product marketing for Microsoft Dynamics Retail. And with me, we're fortunate to have Ashvin Matthew, who's our general manager in charge of Microsoft Dynamics R&D and online services. So we're going to cover a few things in the session today. We're going to cover some of the industry trends, things that continue to drive our product roadmap and our approach to how we deliver retail to the industry with our solution. We're going to talk about our vision for retail, which is important, and we will spend some time on that because that's really how we're differentiating ourselves in the market. That's how we are winning opportunities versus SAP, Oracle, NCR, Retalix, other competitors that we see in the marketplace. We'll talk about momentum from a customer perspective. We'll get into some depth on a few opportunities that we've won that are of interest. We'll talk about some of the analyst feedback and how analysts are looking at our solution in the marketplace. And then Ashvin will go into a good, strong product update, which is important because one of the things that's differentiated retail as an industry within Dynamics is the rate of innovation and the number of product releases and the solution capabilities that we continue to add to the platform. When I look back to 2009 when Dynamics for Retail first launched to where it is today, it's really a night and day comparison. The capabilities that we now offer and that are going to be offered in upcoming releases are really changing the game from an industry perspective, and that's what's driving some of the big wins that you've heard about probably already. If you were in any of the keynotes or the general sessions, you heard about wins like Jean Coutu that we'll talk a little bit about, thousands of point of sale, hundreds of stores, wins like Delta Airlines, and what that's doing from a mobile standpoint in the industry. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But before we jump in, I want to emphasize first and foremost, we're here at the Partner Conference, and retail is, at least in my opinion, one of the strongest opportunities in all of Dynamics for partners. And we're probably going to have a mixed audience here, some people who are already involved with us from a retail industry perspective and are deploying solutions around the world, some partners who are now interested in considering whether retail might make sense for their organization. And hopefully we'll have some interesting content for all of those audiences as we talk about product and opportunity, about the types of wins, why we're winning in the industry. We'll go through all of that as we progress through the session. And I think it's important to also talk about Dynamics and retail in the context of what you've heard Kirill Tatarinov talk about as a unifying fabric. One of the things, again, that sort of differentiates retail from some of our other industry solutions is the sheer breadth of the opportunity. We're not just talking about Dynamics AX, we're talking about point of sale, we're now talking about mobility with tablets, with phones, we're talking about e-commerce, we're talking about a lot of different areas where you can engage with organizations to help solve their problems and to help deliver solutions to them. And so as a partner organization, it really expands the opportunity you have to drive services revenue, to engage with customers, to pull in other parts of the Microsoft stack, whether it be Office or Windows or SharePoint, the devices that we're bringing to market. So all those things, keep those in mind as we go through the session and you think about how this might apply to your business. So we'll start by talking about what's happening in our industry. And I think, again, this is one of the important reasons why we are winning, because as you'll see the theme throughout this presentation, all of the functionality, all of the innovation that we're delivering is directly correlated to the trends and some of the transformational change that's happening in retail. If I look at other vendors in the marketplace, there's constant churn. There's acquisition. SAP just acquired Hybris because their point of sale endeavor failed, and so now they're trying to find ways to deliver omni-channel through acquisition. Epicor couldn't do things like buy online, pick up in store, so they had to create a partnership with Magento to try to fill in gaps that they have. What you constantly see with other vendors is one old solution combined with another old solution, trying to build some middleware and then make everything seem new again. What I love about what we're doing in Dynamics is that we're innovating from the ground up. What Ashvin's team is doing is delivering best-in-class software, and it's not through taking solutions that were built for a different time and trying to repackage them for today. It's building solutions with technology, with innovation that really do address the idea around mobile, around commerce, e-commerce, social commerce, mobile commerce, and you'll see that as we go through and talk about the solution in more depth. And so the first thing I want to do to kick things off is show a video that we created, and hopefully what this does is highlight for you the rapid pace of change, a lot of the issues that retailers are grappling with. This is something we show to our customers, and it resonates with them in terms of what they're seeing in the marketplace and the types of consumers they have to be prepared to address. So I get excited when I see that video because it not only shows the challenges, and I think does a good job of showing the global nature of retail, the digital nature of retail, all of the different areas that organizations have to grapple with. But you see the Microsoft story resonating throughout that video. The fact that the Microsoft Store, we as Microsoft are a retailer ourselves. The fact that we're delivering devices like Surface and mobile phones that are now a big part of our go-to-market. And then with Dynamics, no matter what the challenge, no matter what the issue, you saw that we deliver point of sale, but not just static point of sale. We deliver tablet, we deliver mobile handheld phone-based point of sale, we deliver e-commerce, web storefront, we deliver merchandising, we deliver financials, ERP, CRM, clienteling, loyalty. It really is an end-to-end solution. It was built to work together. And that's sort of been a consistent theme for us throughout the years as we've grown this retail business. But never before has it been more true than it is today with a lot of what Ashwin will show you and the things that are coming to market. And then you look at what analysts and what others are saying, like the Harvard Business Review, the fact that omnichannel is no longer a nice to have, it's a must have. The fact that this is what organizations expect. And some of the customer examples I'll go through here shortly, that's really what drove us coming from behind and beating SAP, beating Oracle, beating Retalix, beating other solutions. The realization has hit home like never before that you must have a solution that allows you to offer transparency, to offer a customer experience that is innovative, that's class leading, that sets you apart, that differentiates you from the rest of the different solution competitors that you compete with in the marketplace. So let's talk about what's top of mind for retailers. What is driving this revolutionary change in the market? One of the most important things is the empowered consumer, and you hear a lot about that. Just to put it into context, the smartphones that we now carry have more computing power than was used to land Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong on the moon back in 1969. So you think about the power that consumers now hold in their hands in terms of cross-shopping pricing, in terms of social networks, looking at product reviews, the simple choice and the power of choice that they have because of the technology that's at their fingertips. Then we think about going from multi-channel, where you sell through a number of siloed go-to-markets, to omni-channel, where there is transparency. The reason that Carrefour chose Microsoft Dynamics above all other solutions for things like omni-channel order management is because we could offer them the ability to buy online, pick up in store, have centralized returns management, the ability to have a single product catalog that would apply to all of their store formats around the world. And so this is important because omni-channel can't just be a buzzword. It has to be backed up by real technology. It has to be backed up by real value. And you'll see that as we go through this presentation, that there is innovation that we're delivering that makes omni-channel real. And that's, again, what's driving a lot of the choices that customers are making when they choose Microsoft Dynamics. When you think about a global business, the reason that we're landing deals like Michael Kors in China, or Bombay Dyeing or Malabar Gold in India, Sephora in Brazil, customers like Russia Post that are using a combination of our public sector capabilities and retail capabilities in Russia, is because we do have the most widely available end-to-end retail solution in the world. It is localized for 36 countries, and it allows large multinationals, whether it be LVMH, Ashley Furniture, others, to take our solution anywhere. They don't have to compromise. They don't have to have multiple IT stacks based on the part of the world where they want to compete. And that's really, again, a critical point because the world continues to shrink, and the prevalence of e-commerce and online channels means that you have to be ready to go and compete almost anywhere. And with Dynamics, you can do that. And then social network to social commerce. The idea that 46% of all consumers now engage a social network in some way, shape, or form before they make a purchase. The statistics continue to come in about the different behaviors. And so this is the reality we live in. And it's really now a matter of what solution in the marketplace truly enables retailers to act on this and to be successful in this reality. And so if you break it down into the three areas that we hear most often when we talk to customers, it is around mobility, it is around e-commerce, it's around social. And if you look at some of the statistics, by 2016, almost 1/5 of all transactions are going to take place on a mobile device. I mentioned the statistic about 46% of all consumers engaging with the social network before they make a purchase decision. And then finally, when you think about online and e-commerce, it's really no secret to anyone that there's a lot of research that goes on online before a store visit or a potential purchase. But now it's moved to the wish list that you created online. Can the associates pull that up immediately on the point of sale at the store? Is there visibility and a seamless engagement between those activities? Can you create a promotion on Facebook so that when the consumer clicks like, you get this exponential growth in visibility? The days of circulars and flyers and email campaigns with the proliferation of all of these different social points of connection, it's changed the game. And so do you have a retail system that can take advantage of that? And it may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but the investment protection of knowing you can is critical. So again, this is something, when we talk to customers about this, it really drives home the point that their decision-making process isn't about putting a fact sheet side by side and picking the longest list of features. It's about choosing the platform that's going to take them into the future for the next 10 to 15 years or more. So what is our vision? How is Microsoft Dynamics for Retail different? How are we delivering solutions that really separate us in the marketplace? And it's really two things. If we're in front of a customer, or if you as a partner are in front of a customer, this is a consistent message that we have been leveraging now for quite some time, and it's allowed us to really anchor our message and anchor our story. It's about helping retailers become dynamic to deliver a complete shopping experience. So when you say a customer does expect a personal experience, that there are going to be targeted promotions specifically to them, that when they walk into a store, the associates are going to have some ability to know who they are, past purchase history, wish lists, be able to make recommendations. We know that conversion rates go up by a factor of 5 in a store when recommendations are made in an intelligent way. The average dollars per transaction goes up by 39% when you have the ability to make intelligent recommendations to a customer. Seamless, obviously, there is no online experience, store experience. It's simply one experience. Retailers like REI now just monitor sales holistically all up. They don't do it by channel anymore because there's such a blurring of the lines that they don't want their associates thinking in terms of channel. They want them thinking in terms of overall experience. And then differentiated. At the end of the day, we say this a lot. Your brand is a promise, and what are you leaving that customer with in terms of their perception of you as a retail organization? So then, as a retailer, how do you accomplish that? Well, you become a dynamic retailer. But for us, it goes well beyond messaging. A dynamic retailer is connected without compromise. And as you've seen, I think, if you've seen demonstrations of our solution before, we offer the world's only single commerce engine that can impact all channels of your business. Create a promotion once, it will light up Facebook, it will light up your point of sale at the store, it will light up your online digital channels. It drives simplicity, it reduces complexity. You're not having to do it 4, 5, 6 different times like you do with other solutions. Personally relevant. You'll see this again, the clienteling capabilities that we're delivering so that through a point of sale application on a tablet, you can understand a lot about the customer. The last time they visited, dates that are important, contact information, purchase history, wish lists, all of those types of pieces of data drive a more intimate engagement with the customer. And then finally, agile and opportunistic. So again, we know the only constant in retail is change. Does your system allow you to move into the future with confidence, knowing that you're going to be able to be successful and take on the next big thing? So it begs the question, what type of enterprise are you building? So there are best-of-breed solutions. Again, that's been historically what retailers have had as an option. And we'll touch a little bit again on the Jean Coutu opportunity, where they had wanted integration. They wanted seamless transparency. They didn't think it existed in the marketplace. And they had made some choices based on that, but in their engagement with Microsoft and with our Dynamics team and with a great partner, that whole perception changed. But best of breed comes with it a lot of taxes. There's middleware, there's complexity, there's the roadmap of 5, 6, 7, 8 different vendors. You have to manage all of that, there's costs associated, and that's why 90% of CIOs would tell you that the majority of their IT budget goes simply to existing systems and maintaining existing technology. They really don't have the opportunity to take their business into the future, regardless of the great strategies that they may have. And then there's the electronic concrete. This is where many of the customers you'll talk to in the enterprise who may already have SAP or Oracle, they feel stuck. They feel like they are in a place that they can't move forward. They don't have the ability to innovate. And these are customers that are looking for operational efficiencies, and we'll talk a little bit about how we can help solve that problem for them in just a moment. The Dynamics approach is one of unified agile integration. So we talk about an end-to-end platform and all of the components associated, but we do give you the power of choice. We give both the customer the power of choice as well as the partner. It doesn't have to be an end-to-end solution implementation, a big bang all at once, although we do have customers that do that. One great example, Edwin Watts Golf, that has done that recently with 100 stores that's running everything from omni-channel to point of sale to ERP. We allow you to, in the Carrefour example, just deploy omni-channel order management. Or in the case of Delta Airlines, just deploy mobile point of sale for all of your flight attendants. So you have a number of different options in how you can work with an organization, but then you expand that footprint over time. So for the customer, it means continued reduction of complexity. It means they can become more efficient, and you as a partner have this opportunity to continue building that relationship and the size and the scope of your engagement with that customer. So these are 3 popular deployment scenarios that we typically see, and there are good examples in all of these cases. Integrated full suite, I touched on Edwin Watts Golf, or someone like Mattress Firm, someone like Jean Coutu that's going to deploy everything end-to-end on the Dynamics stack. But then you also have 2-tier opportunities. This could be someone like our own Microsoft stores that may have SAP, they may have Oracle, but because of the flexibility Dynamics offers, you can deploy merchandising, headquarters, POS, and still integrate to existing systems and existing technologies. In the case of a Carrefour that has over 150 different systems, Dynamics offered them the opportunity to start making significant progress in their omni-channel order management, but it didn't derail them in terms of existing systems. Dynamics is unique in its ability to both stand alone as a tremendous solution, but also complement existing technologies. And that's an important point to make when you are in front of customers, that we don't force you down a path that's really not good for your business. And then finally, workload at a time. And again, Delta's a good example of that, where Today they're looking to solve an onboard issue where they want to drive efficiencies, they want to manage point of sale, they want to manage sales for both their flight attendants and for their pilots. And we're able to offer that to them, and then over time, it could expand and the opportunity could grow. So let's think about market momentum. So all that being said, with that value proposition, with that retail landscape and context in mind, how is Dynamics for Retail doing in the marketplace? How are we progressing forward as a business? So we talk about customer wins, and this is just a small sample, but there's a few that we'll talk about in more depth. But I think what's exciting is you look at someone like Alco. 200 stores had deployed Oracle as a solution a few years ago for financials and HR. But again, they felt like that was not going to be a good path for them moving forward. They felt like it wouldn't allow them the agility that they needed. So although they have Oracle as a core part of their administrative ERP, they're going to be using Dynamics for Retail in their stores for point of sale, in their headquarters, merchandising, distribution, and other capabilities. And we can complement and we can connect to that existing Oracle system, but then help them drive their business forward. And we're going to talk about a few others, and the list goes on, but two in particular that are really interesting. One is Bräuniger in Germany. What's significant here is that with Dynamics for Retail, we went into SAP's backyard in Germany, and we won one of the largest department store entities in Europe. Again, this is an organization that, in terms of privately held department stores, has the second largest headquarters in all of Europe, behind Harrods, over 4,500 employees. And their organization delivers extremely high-end goods. So they're looking at customer service as being paramount. They wanted simplicity, they wanted customer service, they wanted efficiencies. They were struggling with understanding their stock positions with accuracy. They were struggling with merchandising efficiency. And against SAP, again, in their backyard, we were able to show a very rich functional solution, one that delivers a vision for omni-channel and where they can go in the future, but one that delivers a best-in-class customer experience above all else, and that drove us to win that opportunity. And then Jean Coutu, and again, at the risk of, I'm sure you've heard about this one in a few different settings, but again, what's interesting is that their decision was made. For the most part, as of March of this year, they had decided they were going with SAP as a back office. They were going to go with Retalix for point of sale. We came into the game very, very late, but it shows the power of a great partner, a strong value proposition, and how you can change the game. They liked the idea of an end-to-end solution. They didn't think one existed. They are the name in drugstores in Eastern Canada. 500 stores, 3,000 point of sale, over 11,000 devices. They were looking for a significant solution in the enterprise that could take them forward. And again, the partner was able to come in, and initially they were only being considered for back office with AX. Point of sale was out of the question. They thought Retalix was a foregone conclusion. But throughout the course of the demonstrations that were done, the customer started to see the flexibility, the simplicity, the elegance of the modern architecture. They started to see the types of real-time efficiencies that could be driven. And from that, it got them thinking, well, what about point of sale? If we could have a fully integrated POS that offered some of the same benefits that this back office solution does, this could be what we've always been looking for. So literally in the course of about 30 to 40 days, with the partner and our R&D organization doing great work together, we were able to show that our point of sale offers you the best in role-based interfaces. It offers you the flexibility to really maximize the efficiencies, the speed of service, lower the training times. We were able to show how our point of sale becomes the point of service in your store, and it pulls in data from all different channels and can really deliver on the vision that they were hoping to gain. So 2 solutions in SAP and Retalix that have been in the market for a long time and are well respected. But at the end of the day, Jean Coutu chose to move forward with Dynamics for Retail. And it's really now that we're seeing this as a regular occurrence in these large enterprise organizations where the solution and its value proposition and capabilities have come together in such a way that it offers you the chance to really drive success. If you look at the FUD, what other vendors have traditionally tried to sell against us with is scalability and performance. And I think the good news is the class of retailer we now have working with us and the work that our R&D team has done, that's really no longer an objection our competitors can use. I mean, we are up to 22,000 users. We're up to 40,000 point of sale. We're into the thousands of stores. So clearly scalability is actually one of the strengths of Dynamics for Retail. And in terms of references, as we continue to drive these large enterprise organizations around the world becoming part of the Dynamics for Retail family, it gives you as a partner great stories that you can tell to help drive new opportunities. In terms of analysts, and this is important, the combination of customer stories with third-party feedback from some of the leading analysts like Forrester who did their POS wave. If you look at this, these are vendors that we competed against here that have been in the market for 20 plus years, but literally in just our fourth year with Dynamics for Retail being in the market, we're already in the leadership category. We were rated #1 in the world for strategy, roadmap, and vision. And these studies are interesting because they're always looking ahead, but then also looking back at historical performance. And what's interesting is Microsoft doesn't have as much of the historical 20 years of being in the market to rely on, but they do see where we're headed. They see the innovation, they see the vision. And in fact, the only place we didn't score ahead of some of the traditional competitors was in their direct deployment, Salesforce, and some other measurements. We rely on great partners. And that's really what we think is a strength. And even the analysts are starting to acknowledge that the choice that customers have because of the great partner channel we have gives us potentially another game changer in addition to our solution. And then there's other studies like the Infotech Global POS Vendor Landscape. And this one is also, as you see, recognizing Dynamics for Retail as a champion of the study, but then also giving us the award for being a trendsetter in innovation and having the most inventive solution. So again, the combination of great technology, great customer stories, and then validation from analysts that are seeing the value of what we can bring to the market and how we can tie all these things together gives you as a partner a great opportunity to be successful. And so beyond that, there are tools that we're working hard on my team with Luke Shave and others to build for you so that you can be effective in front of the customer. So if you go to Partner Source, there's a tremendous amount of information, materials available around Dynamics for Retail. That includes case studies, evidence, the video that you saw. There's a lot of information around sales and marketing documents and BDM decks that'll help you tell the story in the same way that we do, help you be effective at determining the opportunity. There's also links to training, to readiness, across all the different aspects of our solution on both Partner Source, Information Source. All of this is out there for you, and it will help you get a feel for the solution if you're just considering it for the first time, or reinforce your skill set if you're someone that's already engaged with us as a partner. And then there's also a lot of work we do with different publications in the retail space. Speak Magazine is one of those where we have some of our customer stories like a David's Tea that's captured in great detail. And so you can also leverage those types of materials. And again, you can always contact us directly if you have questions, but do go out if you get the chance and look at Partner Source, the Dynamics for Retail page. You may be surprised at just how much content is now there across a number of different areas that will help you win deals, be successful, and engage with us as Microsoft. And so with that, I'm going to turn things over to Ashwin Matthew, and he's going to talk about the product itself in more detail.
So good morning. It's great to be here to talk to you about the product and some of the innovation we're doing. Move the mic down. It seems to be way too loud. Well, what we have done is we've taken an architecture that's very innovative from the way we approach commerce. So one of the big innovations we've done is on the front-end systems. This is to do with the commerce runtime, for example. We've taken a set of concepts around how a retail and a commerce runtime should be implemented, and we've implemented it such that it can be then embedded across multiple channels. And one of the things you'll see as we come out towards the end of the year is that we're going to be able to get this entire suite out to the market. And this is going to be an integrated suite, so you can decide to deploy any one of these pieces. That, for example, you could decide to deploy mobility on the phones, mobility on the tablet, and then have it work with, let's say, a OPOS-based desktop system that you might use. So, or for that matter, be able to integrate it with e-commerce. And when I say e-commerce, I mean it with a much broader perspective. It could be everything from your own storefront, which we've released in the last release, and we'll continue to update, and I'll give you some of those directionally where we're going with the e-commerce solution, as well as how that ties into both social and search media. So how do you run integrated promotions? How do you make sure the promotions can then be redeemed and tracked across multiple channels, so you don't have to just redeem it on an e-commerce site, it can be redeemed within your store. Some of the innovation we are doing is around what we call retail server. That's the ability for you to take thin clients, that is everything from tablets and mobile point of sale, and run it on very, very thin devices. And I will also show you how we are taking it into platforms beyond Microsoft platforms. So for example, the ability to run the point of sale on Android and iOS, and we will have reference point of sales on those platforms, to showing the flexibility of the solution. So the ability for you to use multiple surfaces across multiple vendors. Of course, we will optimize a solution for the Microsoft Surface and the Microsoft Windows, which has actually much better usability, but we will give you the ability to use it across multiple OSs. And then, of course, on the back-end side, the ability to control all of these, the ability to control not just your merchandise, that is the product catalog, the ability to do pricing promotion, to be able to run omni-channel campaigns that slice across multiple channels, the ability for you to be able to look at with extensive BI on how those promotions are doing. And increasingly what we will do, both in the upcoming release and the releases in the future, is the ability to do what is the 360 around any kind of operation that you do. How does an operation start from a back-end operator who looks at a certain part of your retail operations, and how does it translate into a customer behavior, and then how do you fine-tune that behavior? And you'll see that pattern being implemented in the solution. And then, of course, the ability to track, as I said, the customer. That goes down to the ability to even do things like loyalty across multiple merchandising categories, the ability to have rule-driven both, what I would say, redemption as well as accumulation rules written, so you're able to fine-tune your promotions, not just one big bang approach to loyalty. And then, of course, the ability for you to look at your supply chain as you run your multiple operations, look at replenishment, the ability to manage your warehousing, as well as your logistics. And if you've gone to some of the other sessions around dynamics, especially around distribution, you'll see we're making huge innovation across even the warehousing and the logistics space. I will then quickly take you through some of the investments we are making across the feature pack, that is the release that's coming out. The main themes that we have in the retail feature pack is mobility, as you've heard. So we will be coming out with our tablet and the mobile point of sale. By the way, this will go beyond just the point of sale. We will be able to use the interfaces that we have developed in order to even build what we call C2 interface, that is your customers, that is the retailer's customer interfaces. Therefore, being able to build applications that you can run on a customer's phone that might interact or may be independent of the retailer system. So, for example, the ability to start a transaction in a customer's phone and then complete it, for example, on a point of sale. Those will be scenarios that, at least from an API perspective, we will be supporting in the mobility solution. E-commerce and social. E-commerce and social, we made our first initial release last year on that. We will continue to invest in that. And then, of course, industry excellence. That's the ability to add more functionality into the back end with respect to retail operations. And then the ability to manage large-scale deployments. As Michael mentioned, we're going to pretty massive deployments across both the devices as well as stores. And how do you manage that? How do you make it easier to do your initial deployment and then take it, for example, into a much more large-scale deployment? That let me go into a little bit of detail into the kind of features you might expect towards the end of the year. As any pre-release slide, any of this is subject to change as we come out towards the end of the year, but this is kind of a flavor of what you might see in the retail feature pack as it will be released sometime towards the end of this year. We will have the retail server. So this will be a complete REST-based API, a web service API using OData, if you care to know the details behind it, but allows you to basically have a very flexible interface which allows you to do both retail transactions, that is the ability to implement point of sales on top of it, but more importantly do even operations beyond just the point of sale operations. So there will be certain things like store operations that will be exposed at the API. So the ability to do things like receiving in the store and other store operations will be exposed through this API. The ability to have very modern immersive clients, and you might have seen one of them at the keynote. If you haven't, I'll be showing you the demo of that. The ability to, for example, have a tablet-based clienteling application, the ability to do both assisted as well as unassisted sales. So we are building the notion into both our enterprise point of sale as well as a clienteling point of sale, the ability to run both as an assisted sale where you have someone behind a counter helping a customer, or even across the counter helping the customer, but more importantly to be able to run in kiosk mode. So how do you start having both kiosks with rapid checkout, as might be the case in grocery, or kiosks where in the case of fashion maybe something which allows a customer to look through your catalog and therefore be able to come to an opinion on the sale. And as I mentioned, both the mobile POS across tablets and phone, multiple form factors, I'll show you that across multiple OSs, and then of course the ability to run store inventory and operations and daily operations from the mobile devices. And then the ability to capture key metrics and KPIs from those mobile devices as well as display them in those mobile devices. So, for example, the ability for a store manager to have rich reports on the tablet that he or she is carrying. In e-commerce, of course, we continue to add to our solution. The rich, seamless, out-of-the-box shopping experiences, we will be adding to that. We'll be adding more functionality around customer management for the e-commerce scenarios, the ability to do gift card and loyalty now spanning all the channels, including e-commerce and social. And then, of course, the ability to start now tracking wish lists and lists across multiple channels. So one of the things we'll be embedding into all of our solutions is the ability for a customer to manage multiple lists that can be then coordinated between channels. And I'll kind of show you some of the screenshots of how we will be exposing that in, for example, e-commerce. And then the ability to act rich Twitter and Facebook campaigns will be embedded in the base solution as we come out at the end of the year. And then the ability to support third-party marketplaces, and then, of course, fashion and multi-language storefronts. I'll show you some of the templates that we are adding to. When we came out last year, we came out with just a normal template that would work for most specialty retailers, but we are starting to add templates into the sub-vertical, like a fashion template for e-commerce. And then industry excellence. We'll be adding basic kitting capabilities. This has been a request from a number of our customers. We'll be adding enhancements to our pricing and promotion engine. So this is the industry excellence is about adding more and more features into the base solution. Ability to do better assortments and catalogs. Global gift card, that is the ability to have gift cards span across multiple channels. The ability to do enhancements on the, and we will talk about that with respect to an SDK. We're adding the notion of retail essentials, and I'll kind of cover that with a couple of screenshots so you understand it. How do you do rapid deployments of retail? We found one of the challenges our partners have faced is how do you go from being a Dynamics or a Dynamics AX partner to being a retail partner? So we are making enhancements to the solution where you can turn on a config key and you get a very basic retail essentials edition that can be then upgraded to the full-blown edition. So you can use it either for what I would say rapid deployment, or in many cases down to the level of saying you probably have a small customer towards the lower end of our segments who might want to have a much more simplified form of the solution. And then, of course, massive BI and reporting improvements, both with respect to how it is shown in the front office as well as the base capabilities in the solution. And then as we go into the large-scale deployment, we will be adding to the installation setup and configuration. We're looking at multiple options of what we do here in order to simplify the lives of doing multi-store and multi-device deployments. So we are adding the notion of supporting deployments through System Center, so the ability to both control and monitor the large number of devices and stores through it. doing diagnostics so increasingly adding diagnostics into the solution so you're able to troubleshoot if something goes wrong with the retail deployment. The ability, of course, as always, to support backwardly compatible the point of sale to a newer version of the backend. And then we are totally re-architecting our commerce data exchange. As you probably have known if you have used one of the older versions of the software, something called Store Connect, as well as what we increasingly are calling the commerce data exchange, the ability for your backend to talk to multiple devices. We are revamping that entire infrastructure, and now it will be based on Windows foundational elements, which allows this to then support things like HTTPS and HTTP. So, you can use, rather than using IPsec to secure the transport or the band between your back office to the store or your devices, you'll be able to use HTTP and HTTPS to actually talk to those devices. So it decreases the cost as well as the amount of work you have to do to deploy a store. And then massive performance and scalability improvements. In many cases, we are in some operations seeing multiple orders of magnitude improvements. Many times something like in the 200 to 500% difference between even the R2 version and the upcoming retail feature pack. So massive amounts of work done on performance and scalability. And then, of course, globalization and localization. I know I mentioned retail essentials, and one of the things I wanted to quickly go about is showing you what we mean by retail essentials. We've always known that implementing a massive distributed retail deployment is often very tough, so we're adding things like the ability to do retail entities as a part of data migration. We're adding simplified AX setup. We have store setup checklists, which will actually walk you through the right screens to set up a store. And then, of course, the ability to validate certain parts of the setup. So how do you make a repeatable store implementation as a part of your rollout for a customer? We are simplifying the retail area page, so you can go for a simplified retail area page or the standard edition of the retail page, depending on what your client might need, and you can move between the two, of course, through customization. Simplified entities, both with respect to the page, how they show up in a page, so we are simplifying that. And of course, simplified seed data, right? The ability to start off your initial implementation with some seed data so you're able to do massive deployments faster. And then the ability, if you're doing a two-tier implementation, especially as we go towards the lower end of the market, is how do you do accounting export? How do you export statements to an external accounting package? And that could mean even QuickBooks integration when you go to the lowest segment of the market. And then, of course, with respect to simplified UI, just to show you, this is the base version, the one we ship today. But if you look in the simplified version, we will be reducing a large number of the function to just the base retail core thing. So you can start off with this edition and then change the config key and go to the standard edition if you wanted to. But again, it's decreasing the amount of time it takes for your organizations as well as the customer's organization to move to the retail solution. And that theme continues. For example, if you took the product page today in Dynamics, it has everything from manufacturing, like engineer, managed projects, and foreign trade. But you could go for a much more simplified version which just has, for example, just a very retail specific. So if you're not using Dynamics for retail for everything from, what I would say, private label manufacturing to your distribution and into your retail operations, you can just go for the pure retail operations version of the page. The ability to do the same, for example, this is the standard edition of AX. It has everything from, competencies and development and, compensation, and you can just change it to having just employment and retail notions. So the ability to simplify retail so that you're able to use Dynamics for retail for just retail operations if you chose to. You can always turn on the other features as you need to later on. The ability to do retail setup, so the store setup checklist, so you literally can go down the list of all of these things and then simply as a set of wizards configure a store. So again, decreasing the amount of cost for both you as partner organizations as well as customers to implement. And the list goes on. I've just shown you a small representative feature set. And then, of course, the solution walkthrough, I've talked about the Dynamics Retail Server. So as I said, we have now come for a tiered architecture where we will be exposing all of our interfaces using OData and REST APIs. Very, very powerful for both the customizability perspective and as well as if you're an ISV to build on top of the solution. This is probably industry leading in how we are doing our channel. So that will be released as a part of the retail feature pack. And with that, let me just start showing you some of what we have done. And let me just quickly switch tags here. So you've seen, if you were at the keynote, you probably saw this, but I'm going to show it anyway, just in case some of you were not at the keynote and not seen this. This is one version of our point of sale. We also have an enterprise version of the point of sale. Both of them are based on the Commerce Runtime, and we are unifying even the architectures even more so that it just tends to be a version of it. But this is the clienteling interface. It can be used both on a tablet. You're using a touch interface, so everything from being able to use Windows concepts such as semantic zoom. So you had a large number of items. You can semantically zoom out, that is, expand your catalog. The ability to do, for example, comparisons between two items in a product list. We use a concept called composite composite attributes. So we can take multiple attributes, make them into composite attributes, which allow you to compare things. The ability to, of course, do additional information, right, on an item. So the ability to do multiple views of multiple data sources using a single thing. And, of course, the ability to add it to a transaction. The ability to have rich customer interactions. So the ability to have, for example, the ability for a store associate to look at everything a customer has bought, recent purchases. I talked about the wish list, and I'll show you how this wish list actually even shows up on the e-commerce site. So a customer can choose to share with a retailer their wish list, and you as an associate can use that wish list to actually make a sale. So this is an assisted sale case, the ability to do suggested product, and of course the ability to do customer relationship, with respect to what orders they have. What orders are back ordered, was there any returns, the trends you're seeing. All of this is going to be part of it and more. By the way, I'm not showing you some of the store operations piece of it, but let me just go ahead and add HAL to the transaction. As you can see now, you have a complete transaction, and you can then complete the transaction by either credit card or cash, but this can be a kiosk mode. As you know, Windows 8 allows you to lock down the machine, so you only have a kiosk mode with one application running. This can very well be deployed as a kiosk mode. Let me quickly also show you our phone client. You might have seen this past. So as you can see, the point of sale again uses the same metaphors. It runs against the same retail server. The ability to, log in into your point of sale. The ability to, of course, do the same kind of things. The ability to look at all of your products, but more importantly, the ability to use the screen size, the very low form factor screen size quite effectively. So the ability to do things like tiles, which might show you either the new items or frequently bought items, so you're not necessarily, drilling into a category. The ability to have rich information about the products, very similar to what I showed you on the tablet, but extremely optimized for the form factor I'm showing you. So the ability to add the product to the transaction, and then, of course, the ability to look at your customers, similar to what I showed you. The ability to add a customer to the transaction, and then, of course, the ability to, complete the entire sale. So I could then, complete the transaction. Now, I could also use, we are working with hardware manufacturers, both on the tablet side as well as the phone, to come out with actually Microsoft hardware devices. This is a Microsoft device that we built with Verifone, for example, the first generation of what runs in our Microsoft stores. We are working to build out hardware that then complements the solution. But more importantly, if you look at just shut down the solution. As we go into, as you look at the solution as we build it out, it's not only going to be rich in terms of our experiences that we have, but more importantly, we're also going to start looking at how do we go cross-platform. So if you look at the Windows, this is actual screenshots of the running application that we will be releasing at the end of the year. You can take the same paradigm, the ability to log into, for example, an iPod or an iPhone, the ability to do the same transaction, start a new sale. Now you can see we use the same metaphors the OS uses, and definitely iOS is a little challenged when it comes to showing the kind of panoramic view that you can do in Windows Phone, for example, but we nevertheless use the metaphors of the OS, and you'll see that across Android too. So the ability to show details of an item, the ability to add to a transaction, and the ability to, of course, do the same on a different form factor. By the way, we'll be able to support multitudes of form factors. That's the other big innovation we have done, is we have separated the presentation mode from the transactional mode. The Commerce runtime now allows us to run across any kind of device, because what we have done is we've said the presentation is separate, and by the way, is all HTML5 and JavaScript based. So you literally can build across multiple platforms, right? So the ability, for example, on an iPad to do the same transaction that you saw on a tablet, the ability to look at categories, the ability to look at product details, and then, of course, the ability to complete a transaction. And then if you went to an Android device, for example, a Samsung device, the ability to do the same. Now, you can see the user experiences very much uses the metaphors that OS uses. We've been very true to making sure that if you're used to using a certain style of device, we will not change the metaphor on you. And again, completing the transaction there. Some of the innovation we are doing on e-commerce, you've probably seen a version of this as we released it last year. Some of the things we're adding to it is, for example, visual theming to show things like out of stock, the ability to, you see the button in the bottom which says add to list. So this is the integration into the wish list, and this wish list can now be coordinated, for example, to an associate's tablet. You saw the wish list on the customer. We can do that. The ability to take wish lists and move them to the cart, or remove them from the cart back into the wish list. So the ability to manage wish list management, the ability to do rich information. This was always available through the API, but with the retail server, now you can add multiple pieces of information, for example, into the shopping cart integration. Very, very powerful, not just from an out-of-box solution perspective, but also as an ISV or a partner, your ability to customize the solution. And of course, I talked about the fashion template, so we'll be adding the other template you saw was our specialty retail template, which was more generic. We're going to be adding things around fashion, so you're able to do sub-industry perspective templates on our e-commerce solution. So therefore, allowing you to sell to those sub-verticals. The ability to have rich integration into Twitter. So built into the solution will be the ability to directly post things like promotions into Twitter, be able to redeem these against either a point of sale or, in the case of a coupon code, as you saw in the previous version, against an e-commerce site. The ability to do Facebook promotions, similar to Twitter. So we're adding more and more capabilities into social commerce into the solution. With that was kind of a broad overview, just to give you a taste of it as we come out later this year and at NRF. The beginning of next year, we'll, of course, show you much more than this. This is just what we have kind of in scope for the end of the year, but there's a lot more to add. There's a number of other things which I've not talked, which I can probably talk about. Like, for example, we're looking at adding back-end support for call centers into the solution. And the reason I'm not showing it is until we are absolutely sure we'll be able to get into the release, but it's within the scope of us trying to do that. So we're building out the solution from both the perspective of channels as well as experiences, and then, of course, even back-end functionality, and then, of course, ease of deployment and performance and scalability. With that, Michael, can you come up and we can probably take any questions? There are mics on both sides of the room, and if there are questions, we'll be more than happy to take them and answer them.
Hello, I'm Peter Edlin with DI Central. I have a question around your recent acquisition of 2 products from Blue Horseshoe. Can you describe a little bit how you're going to incorporate that into your product?
Yeah, I know. I saw the press release go out today. Yes, we've acquired, that's largely around what we call warehousing and transportation management. So as a part of the retail, not the retail feature pack, but as a part of the feature pack releases that at the end of this year, we will have a transportation and warehouse feature pack that you can implement on top of R2. So it's a model file that will be released. The details of that, I do not know how much of that I can release to date. So we will have further details of that coming out over the next few months. But it is building on warehousing and transportation in addition to the capabilities we already have in the solution. And that was what I was alluding to. We continue to make major investments with respect to even the supply chain and distribution part of what retailers need to do.
Hi, Kerry Hughes-Wright from K3. Do you have anything in the next release around supporting multi-buy promotions in conjunction with discounts? So buy 2, get 1 free, and also some of those items have got discounts on as well.
Oh, okay. So I see the ability to apply 2 discounting schemes at the same time. Because today we do support buy X, get Y free, and then we choose the best between. You might have a 50% off, and we then actually do the evaluation of both rules, and then you can do the best one wins, for example.
Yeah, we have a customer at the moment who wants to do VAT-free days. So they want to do buy multiple items, get X free, and then you also get a discount on top of.
Yeah, I don't think we will be doing that as a part of the base solution right now, but we can absolutely have a discussion on how you can customize it. Given the CRT allows you to do that, and we have the rules in the engine, we might be able to work with you to implement whether you have multiple rules that apply.
Hi, this is Vijay Gupta from Think Future Technologies. We have a customer who needs a customer survey tool along with the AX.
Yeah.
Is that all built in already or something we're working on?
We have a version, unfortunately just released only in the US, called Dynamics Online Sites, which allowed you to do things like customer survey. So the interfaces exist. As long as the presentation layer, that is what you're trying to do with respect to the presentation, you're able to deal with, we actually have a solution that can do that. Now, the reason we haven't released it is we wrote Dynamics Online Sites on Azure, and we were waiting for the rollout into multiple geos. We only rolled it out into the Azure instances and the US Azure cloud as such, rather than the worldwide cloud. So there is a solution, it's called Dynamics Online Sites. The reason we did not deploy it across the world is that the privacy laws in different countries tend to be very different. With respect to data harbor, how much of customer information you can keep in a cloud separate from the country. And so as long as you're willing to deal with those issues, we can absolutely chat with you on solutions. By the way, it's easy to build a solution on the e-commerce solution too, given that e-commerce is based on SharePoint, front-end servers, as well as actually that might be easier to just implement as a page on the e-commerce solution. So there are multiple options you could use there.
Thank you.
Harry from EDI Gateway. As far as cross-border shopping, does your tool allow for multilingual, pricing, and so forth?
So let me talk about multilingual and then I'll talk about pricing. Multilingual, yes, we support multiple localizations across 36 countries that we support out of the box, and then of course we also have partner-led localizations in multiple additional countries as such. So the answer is yes, the solution was always written to be localized. When it comes to pricing, I'm assuming you want to do pricing based on a locale?
I'm in Canada. I want to buy something from the US,
so
vice versa.
Over there, that would become an implementation where you would do multiple legal entities, if needed, or you can even do store groups where you have pricing for a certain region. In fact, you can even do it for a certain region down to a certain store. So we support the ability to do pricing, merchandising, and promotions that is then localized to a region, for example. And we have multiple ways of modeling that, either as legal entities, if you were doing a strong legal binding to a certain thing, or within a legal entity, you can use store groups, you can use channels to have that broken out.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Mathilde Sanson, CGS. I just wanted to hear a little bit more on the integration with CRM. Is it in AX, or is it CRM, or is it combined?
So today we have a connector with base entities built out as the CRM connector, as you probably know, between MS CRM. We haven't done anything beyond that with respect to the integration into CRM. Now, having said that, if you're doing what I call transactional CRM, right? So all you're doing is taking a customer and you're largely interested in what they're doing around orders, not campaign, like what I would say, communication or campaigns, where you're doing, some kind of, segmentation based on customer behavior. That MSCRM, you would probably do it in MSCRM and then integrate it back into Dynamics for Retail. Now, if it is transactional CRM, we have that built into the solution today. That's how we are able to do loyalty management. That's how we are able to do returns. That's how we are able to do order lookup and so on and so forth. So those aspects are built into the solution. If you want to use the additional capabilities of MSCRM, there's the ability to do that.
So will the BI and the reporting that you talked about, will that enable you to do segmentation or of those customers?
So the answer is yes, the cubes will allow you to do that. We haven't necessarily built out the reports for specifically customer segmentation, but I know that information exists in the retail cube, and then we may have reports that are already built out that can be then modified in order to do that segmentation. Right? As long as you have that information in the retail cube. Because, for example, if you wanted to do segmentation based on sales or orders, yes, that could be done because we have that information. But if, let's say, you wanted to do segmentation based on some behavioral profile, this person's a parent of kids who are toddlers versus teenage kids, that's information that you normally bring in from other sources, either things you can collect through the point of sale, for example, by using reason codes or the like, but you have to then implement it as a specific report if you're doing segmentation based on behavioral.
Thank you.
Hi, Ashwin. This is Shubham from Sonata. So one question on you talked about the fashion template as a sub-segment.
Come again?
Fashion industry.
Yes.
So do you have a roadmap for similar templates on the other sub-segments?
Not really. What we are doing is it's quite opportunistic. As we're seeing us penetrate a certain segment of the market and the demand increases, we are adding those templates. Now, having said that, I think it's actually a great opportunity for partners. Building those templates are not really very tough. They are just CSS and some visualization on top of it. Actually, it's a huge opportunity for the people in the room, either as partners or ISVs, to actually build. The visual templates are actually really simple. As long as you have a visual designer and you have someone who has basic capabilities around CSS, it's as simple as that. Right, so I would actually encourage more people in the room to look at sub-verticals and go and build some of those out.
I think we may have time for one more question. If anyone has one.
No, well,
yeah, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully what you saw, this was, an hour doesn't give us a lot of time, but we definitely love to engage with you further. A tremendous opportunity for partners. Some of our largest deals in Dynamics are on retail. So from a services, from a license revenue standpoint, big opportunity, lots of innovation, a lot of momentum that we have in the market. So we'd be excited to talk with any of you further about partnering with us in retail.
thank you so much, everyone.